everyone, this is Pirate Draco here today, and I'm going to present a deck slash strategy that involves the Giant. Very, very effective for Arena 5, Arena 4, Arena 3, and below, etc. Sorry, so here's my deck. We got the Giant, Barbs, Wizards, Spirit Gobs, Tombstone, Musketeer, Arrows, and Bomber. Now, I'm gonna now be I'm going to discuss the main points of this strategy. So what I'm actually going to do is hold on. Let me get to the point. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pause and then I'm going to go through the tips, the really important points really quickly. Number 1, at the very beginning of the match slash battle, deploy your Giant at the back of the map behind your own crown tower, as I did right here. What this does, so that's the first tip. The second tip is to defend, then counter push. So we'll go through this replay and I'll tell you guys what I'm thinking. So I deployed a Giant in the back. He executes a Prince Witch minion push. Drop some arrows to take out that Prince and Witch. Oh, a very important thing, and all right, so using the information from the second tip, what I did was that I defended against his offensive push, and then I used my remaining, and because I mounted a very successful defense, I used my remaining troops, which included the Giant and the Barbarians, and then I mounted a counter push, which did quite some damage to his arena tower. And another thing worth mentioning, so that's my first 2 tips, and that's an example of my first 2 tips in action. Deploying my Giant in the back, and defending against his offensive push, and then counter pushing it. And, a lot of people don't know this, but the Giant is actually very effective for defense. Why? Because it's very tanky, so it's very good at delaying troops. And then if you back up the Giant with like another damage dealing troop, such as, and in that other case I was using Barbarians, it's able to defend very well. As you guys saw when I deployed the Giant along with the Barbarians. So then, you might also know this too, but the Barbarians are very powerful counter to a lot of troops, such as the Prince, Hog Rider, Witch, yeah. So, I'm playing defense. I'm trying to, he started an offensive push, trying to maintain some defense, so I can find the right time to counter push. I have some Barbarians and Skeletons on the right side, and then I have a Wizard on the left side, and then I also have a Musketeer on the right side. I drop a Bomber on the left side to take out those Goblins and Skeletons, and a Tombstone to distract that Witch, and I have a Musketeer going on the right side, doing some damage to the right tower. And if you see right here, I defended against those Witch and Goblins, and I was able to mount a very successful counter push with the Giant, the Spear Goblins, the Bomber, and some of the Skeletons. And he's trying to take out my tower, but too late. I defended well against his offensive pushes. And once I defended, I countered push, and I was able to take out his first arena tower. So, let's move on to the second replay. Oh, by the way, this guy was a level 8, and he went all the way, and he's like way better than me. So, bragging rights. I'm only a level 7, he's a level 8, and I cracked him. Cracked him. Okay, now moving on to the next replay. Okay, here we are, guys, with the second replay. We're going up against another level 8, someone who's one level higher than I am, which is pretty unfortunate, but I still wrecked him. So, alright, so the first thing he does is drop a Hog Rider and some Spear Gobs. I get a Barbarian. Oh, this is what he... Oh, yeah, this goes the guy who had the Hog Freeze, and it pissed me off. Luckily, I was able to mount a very successful... I was able to mount a counter push using those Barbarians and the Musketeer, and I was able to deal quite some damage to his arena tower. I drop a bomber to take out the Barbarians and the skeletons, and I drop a tombstone. You know, because I would also want to it would also serve as a distraction, but it wasn't going as planned. So I was kind of panicky right now because I was going up against a level 8 guy who had Hog Freeze, drops the Goblin Barrel, smack it with some arrows. Right now, he already has an advantage over me, so I know I have to play defense. So, from my other tip, you remember that I deploy my giant from. He froze my shit, which pisses me off. So I was able to mount in a very powerful counter push using those barbarians, wizards, giant, and spear goblins. I drop a bomber in there to help out the giant with the counter push, and I take out his first crown tower. Let's consider what I said before. At the beginning of the battle or match, you should deploy the giant behind the crown tower. I was wrong. If nothing's going on, like, alright, so I can't go back now, but if you go back to when I dropped my giant behind the crown tower, you realize that nothing was really going on at the moment. So I deployed my giant because nothing was really going on. So, you know, it's kind of like the beginning, I guess, in other ways to put it. So he's having a very successful offensive push against me, so I have to play defense. His Hog Freeze was actually not very effective, and using the remaining troops I have on defense, I mount a very successful counter push, and I was able to, and those Barbarians and Fire Spears were nothing compared to the Barbarians and compared to the troops that I had. I drop a Musketeer. I'm not really worried about the Spear Goblins or the Goblin Barrel because I have an extremely powerful push up top, and I am able to take out his King's Tower for the 3 crown victory using my tips. So, by now you already understand my tips about. Oh, this was an epic replay because I was going up against a level 8. He had like level 3 and 4 epics, and he even had an Ice Wizard. And so he already has a big advantage over me. So, you know, wait in and out. And I didn't have a giant this time, so I deployed a very slow troop, like the Musketeer, behind my King's Tower. And I do my startup strategy. Drops a Prince. Don't really care about that. I just want to do some damage to that. He drops Barbarian. So right now he's mounting a very successful Prince and Barbarian. Well, not very successful, but he's mounting a Prince Barbarian push and a balloon. He has a level 3 balloon, so I was not able to take out the balloon in time before it took a hit. But I do have some troops but I did have a bomber, a giant, and a wizard. Used a giant for the counter push. That was some really bad arrow placement. I was able to get a few hit points on that arena tower. And his Ice Wizard is advancing at the moment. I drop a Musketeer to counter that, to take out that Ice Wizard. Then I drop a Tombstone to lure out the Prince, and it's able to take out the Prince really, really quickly. even though, and it's a level 4 prince, so that's pretty crazy. Drop some spirit goblins to help out that musketeer, do a little bit of damage to that arena tower. I drop a bomber to take out those barbarian. So okay, he drops a balloon. Okay, so this guy, what he's basically doing is he's not really using his elixir efficiently. He should have waited at least a few seconds before deploying that balloon. So my wizard is making a solo advancement on the left lane. He has a ice wizard witch push. I drop a giant, and I mentioned this before. The giant is actually a very, very powerful defensive troop, mainly because it's very tanky and it's very good at delaying troops. So I was able to take out those troops rather quickly, and I still had some spirit goblins and bomber out. Fortunately, he had barbarians, which restrained me from taking a few, from dealing more damage to the arena tower. He drops an ice wizard, and I use some barbarians to help out my wizard. I drop some arrows to take out that minion horde, and I also deploy a giant, and I have a successful offensive push going on with the giant, the spirit goblins, the wizards, and he can't really do anything, and I took out his crown tower for the 1 crown victory against a very overpowered guy. So those are my tips and points on the giant strategy, and those were my 3 replays. That's my dad.